September 5 tells the story of how an ABC Sports broadcasting crew had to pivot and cover the deadly hostage crisis involving Israeli athletes during the 1972 Munich Olympics. September 5 was nominated for an Oscar for Best Original Screenplay.
We're joined by September 5 screenwriter Moritz Binder right now. Good morning to you, Moritz. Appreciate you waking up early and coming on.
Morning, Christa. Morning, Zoe. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, Moritz. In the movie September 5, audiences are only shown the outside world via a TV screen. Can you talk about why you went with this visual storytelling approach?
Well, it was striking to us when we talked to the real Jeffrey Mason, the character played by John Magaro now, that they never left the studio that day, and it felt almost like a submarine movie, like people trapped in a condensed space, just having the monitors as windows to the outside world, and we really thought this could be the perfect angle of telling that story.
Yeah, it really was very compelling. We were inside the control room the entire time. And I mean, we're news anchors. We work in news, of course. So I couldn't help but think about journalistic ethics throughout the film. Tell us about the writing process and how you chose to highlight the struggle of wanting to report on the facts, but also being entertaining.
That was really like the core of the movie. When we talked to Jeffrey Mason, we asked him about what did you ask yourself that day, and he said we hadn't much time to ask ourselves like the ethical questions. We just tried to get it done. It was never done before, so that and he told us that it felt like a rush that day, and they had just like little time windows for the very important questions. And we thought we really want to make the audience feel that time pressure and feel that condensed space, like this rush they experience, like this adrenaline rush. And yeah, and we really want to like set the audience right next to those journalists in that room.
Definitely. And the fact that it was the sports crew, the news crew wanted to take over. But I mean, you felt the fact that, okay, the sports crew is here. Sure, they're not news reporters, but when you're there and something happens, you pivot and you deliver. And you guys really did a great job of showing that in the film.
Thank you so much. And yeah, you have to know that back then sports, they were like the live TV experts. They were like pioneers in how to broadcast live about something. And they, like hours before, they reported on a swimming race. So they really knew how to make live, but they couldn't know what live really means in reporting on a situation like that.
Moritz, the director Tim Fehlbaum, he reunited with the composer Lorenz Dengel on this movie. Now, Lorenz described the score as a worker score. How did he sonically help tell this story?
I think what Lorenz did as a composer and what Tim approached was that you really have a feeling of this is like authentic. I mean, for example, like the cameras moved around like a documentary team in the studio. So and Lorenz felt like the score needs to serve the story. It can't like give away any emotion before an emotion happens. So I think it was more like getting this ticking clock feeling and giving like small moments of breath and emotion. And I think that he really nailed that.
Real quick, I do want to ask you, it is a highly emotional, intense story from the viewer standpoint. What was the most difficult scene or sequence to write?
I think the last scene between Marianne Gebhardt and Jeffrey Mason, like John Magaro and Leonie Bennett, and I have to say that I have to give a shout out to those two like actress and actor, because they really help with that scene, making it like come alive and not feeling too scripted. That really owed to them.
I really felt like I was in that control room making those decisions with them, and that is a credit to you and the entire team for September 5. So thank you so much for your time. You can watch September 5 on Apple TV, Google Play, YouTube, and in select theaters. Tim Fehlbaum, the director, will be in Santa Barbara tomorrow for the screenwriters panel. Moritz, thanks again for being here, and congrats on the Oscar nomination.
Thank you so much for having me.